Shalom, and welcome to another episode of GMS in Transit, where we prophesy on the road. Today's topic is entitled World Events in Prophecy. And we're just doing a follow-up from what we did, the show we did at the studio, based upon that magazine, the Philadelphia Trumpet. And I'm going to pass it to the elder, and he's going to continue to read these short articles.
Yeah, this is from the Philadelphia Trumpet, the month of July issue. This is entitled Russia, Giving America an Excuse to Retreat. As Vladimir Putin returns to the Kremlin, exuding more swagger than ever before, it's becoming clearer that Russia has shifted into a new, higher gear in its quest to rebuild the old Soviet power bloc. In an especially bold statement just days before Putin's rule became official once again, Russia's top soldier said that if Washington forges ahead with plans to build missile defense facilities in Eastern Europe, Russia will destroy the posts with a preemptive strike. Last year, then, President Dmitry Medvedev said Russia would retaliate militarily if the U.S. failed to reach an agreement with Moscow on the missile defense system. But Chief of General Staff Nikolai Makarov ratcheted the rhetoric up to a new level in his May 3rd statement, saying if the situation worsens, the Russian military will use destructive force preemptively. And destructive force means nuclear war, nuclear strikes. In other words, they're going to use nuclear missiles.
Preemptive means they're going to shoot. They're not going to wait for one enemy to shoot, the enemy to shoot. They're going to shoot before the enemy shoots.
That's right. And they're going to shoot with nuclear missiles. You have a precept? Yeah, let's bring out the precept.
This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. So it says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, an assembly of great nations from the north country. Now those great nations from the north country is the former Soviet Union, and all the different branches that they have broken off into. They're going to come together in agreement, and what they're going to do is when they come together in agreement, it says pursuant to the prophecy in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, where the Lord said he would put hooks into their jaws, and turn them back to the way, the former state that they used to be in, that former superpower. It says from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. So Elder Gabar just read the quote.
Yeah, to back up what you just said, the Most High is going to return Russia to the former state. Just like it said in the article that I read, it says Russia has shifted into a new higher gear in its quest to rebuild the old Soviet power bloc. So that links up with what you just said.
It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. So pretty much right now, Russia and these other nations, it's mainly Russia, they have their missiles aimed at America at certain key spots in America, mainly their military bases, their different nuclear silos, different airports, and fuel-based places that America has. So they got all their missiles pointed at it, It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. So in other words, once those missiles are shot off, they're going to hit their target, because the Most High is going to take the missiles. Once the missiles are shot, the Most High is going to take them and guide them, where he wants them to hit at. Matter of fact, before I read on, this is real quick. Ezekiel 39:1. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, Thus saith the Lord power. Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. That's dealing with Russia. And I will turn thee back, and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand. So in other words, the Lord is going to take those missiles and guide them himself, mainly against the land of Israel and against Babylon the Great, which is America. Going back to Jeremiah 50 and the end of the 9th verse, it says, their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil, all that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. Because you were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. Because you are grown fat as a heifers at grass, and bellow as bulls. So now they're happy, I read that again, it says, because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. And where did they destroy the heritage of the Lord? Here in America, Babylon the Great. Spiritually Egypt, and spiritually Sodom. This is where they destroyed all the tribes. Because at one time you had the tribes that knew that they were Israelites to a certain point, but then they beat that totally out of them, beginning with Judah and the rest of the tribes. It says, your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. And that's talking about America, which is the hindermost of the nations, because this is the furthest spot on the planet. This is the uttermost part of the earth. It says, because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about, she hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Cut off the sower.
What verse are you in?
Verse 16.
Go ahead.
It says, cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. And that's another scripture that proves that these nations are getting the hell out of this place. Israel is a scattered sheep, the lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria hath devoured him, and last is Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon hath broken his bones. Therefore thus saith the Lord, power of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve. Go up against the land of Marathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become the desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. And that's the reason why everything you see happening to this country is happening. Why? Because of all the stuff that Esau has done against the Most High. You know, first and foremost, putting the nation of Israel in slavery. You know, beginning with Judah and all the atrocities they did against Gad, Reuben, and against the so-called Latin tribes. So the Most High is bringing these judgments upon them based upon what they've done to his people. Now, also all the other atrocities and wickedness that they're doing. You know, like passing gay marriages and, you know, all this giving faggots rights and all this all these abominations that they have in this country. It says, the Lord hath opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans.
What verse you in?
Verse 26 now.
Go ahead. When you hit 29, immediately you go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, the 20th verse to the 23rd verse.
Come. It says, come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord our power, the vengeance of his temple. Verse 29. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow.
So you can understand the archers represent the silos, the bow. Well, the archers are the operators of the silos. The bow is a silo. Go ahead.
It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow. Camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel.
Yeah, that's why they got all those images of a white, the Most High being white, his son, whom the world called Jesus Christ, being white, all the saints being white, all the Israelites being white. And then we go out there and we tell them and show them in the scriptures that the saints, the Lord, the heavenly